decisions, great mound visits, great job not letting the best player beat you.
This one crushed, out to right field. And it's going to be out of here. Pennsylvania walk-off home run. Travis Devonic sends him to Williamsport.
With the 37th pick of the 2023 MLB Draft, the Detroit Tigers select Kevin McGonigal, a shortstop from Monsignor Bonner High School, Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Bryce Harper. Suarez delivers. Swing and a drive. Left field. It's deep. It's going. Yes! And it is gone!
Yes!
It is bedlam at the bank as Bryce Harper has put the Phillies on top.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, his 10th career home run in the postseason. And he may never hit a bigger one.
What is up, Delaware County, and welcome back for episode number 66 of Delco Baseball Now, alongside Ben Thorpe. I am Brennan Ricciardi. Ben is dressed for the occasion today. It's our Phillies preview episode. I honestly completely spaced on that. Shout out to my girlfriend Annie buying me a Trey Turner jersey for Valentine's Day. It's because of DH Gate, it is still in the mail. But the thought was there. And it was kind of sweet. She just gave me a piece of paper with the picture of the jersey on it. It's like, this is what will be here.
Which jersey?
It was Trey. It was the powder blue.
Ooh, nice.
Because the powder blue jersey I had, and I still love him, but it's Rhys Hoskins. And it's like, I love him, but like, I would either prefer a current player or like a true franchise legend.
Yeah.
And Rhys doesn't fall into either of those, but
that's okay.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. It'll be here by opening day, hopefully. But yeah, we got our Phillies preview. We'll also give some just basic MLB previews, testing out our new microphones here that we're going to use for our Game of the Week broadcast. That shout out our guy David Shapansky from Villanova, play-by-play intern for us. We're going to be streaming all those games on YouTube. We will announce what game is going to be first next week. But we know, you guys don't know, but we know. We're going to keep that a secret for now. But first, before we get into everything, let's hear a word from our good friends over at STS.
If you love working with kids and making a difference, then Substitute Teaching is the perfect job for you. Substitute Teacher Service is hiring teachers in your area year-round for all positions and levels. A teaching degree is not required. We provide you with all necessary certification and even help you to work towards a full-time teaching position. Great benefits, flexible schedule, a rewarding career. The Subservice is hiring right now in your area. Learn more and apply today at thesubservice.com.
All right. Thank you to STS for being a big sponsor for us this year. Once the first power rankings come out, they will be the sponsor for that as well, which seems like a good time to talk about what Ben and I are going to be doing next week. We're super excited about this. We are going to be recording a podcast episode at Dick's Sporting Goods, more specifically Dick's House of Sport, which is a new, I'll call it like experience. Is that fair?
Yeah. I'm still like they described it. I'm still like not 100% sure what we're walking into. But I'm excited for it. It sounds like it's going to be really cool.
Basically, from what we were, what was explained to us is that there's a new Dick's Sporting Goods in Wilmington. Since there's no location in Delco, the closest is Wilmington. They're calling it the House of Sport, and it's more than just like a retail store. It has like turf fields, batting cages. I think there's like a rock climbing wall. I think it's kind of meant, I think they said that they can have like kids' birthday parties there. I think it's just kind of, trying to do something new. And they reached out to us and they asked if we wanted to record a podcast there. And we're like, yeah, absolutely. That sounds great. We're going to hopefully maybe get some more sponsorship from them as well. But for now, that'll be next Thursday night. That's going to be our high school preview episode. So if you're wondering where the high school stuff has been, we are doing all the team previews in article form. And we just felt like we didn't need to have, 20 whatever teams come on Zoom and do that this year. We've talked to some coaches, some players, so we'll have written articles out. But for our high school preview episode, we'll do our first power rankings, maybe some player rankings, just predictions for the year. So that will be recorded next Thursday, still at our normal release date next Sunday night. But I think this is going to be awesome, especially if, people that are shopping at Dick's are coming by to drop in?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I guess can it be an open invite to anyone if they want to come by, or like?
Yeah. I think I'm going to put out something earlier in the week and say, hey, like, we're going to be here. Come and get your shopping in. I would hope a lot of our players have a good amount of stuff already. But with that being said,
I mean,
maybe you don't have your cold weather stuff yet. You realize like you got all the baseball stuff, and you're like, hey, like it's cold.
Yeah, that might be like need an extra layer or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you weren't sure if you're going to make JV or varsity, like made the varsity roster. Like I need to get some like nice cleats or something like that. But
that's valid.
Yeah,
Some of us as freshmen just got cut entirely. So we bought all that stuff that we didn't use, but hey, we turned it into a motivator here. But
forgot you guys don't have a freshman team.
What's up?
Forgot you guys didn't have a freshman team.
No, I think they do now. I think Strathaven does have a freshman team now, but when I was there, they did not. Shout out Tyler Lucas for just quitting baseball after his freshman year because he was better than me and he played first base.
There you
so
go.
He just didn't want to play baseball anymore.
Spot for you.
Yeah, literally opened up a spot for me. Shout out the boy. But all right, let's get into our Phillies coverage. So if you're like me, you still haven't exactly forgiven them for last year yet. I think part of that can just be the Mets Devils magic that they found in the second half of the year. But the reality is that was a colossal disappointment. Because in 2022 they surpassed all of our expectations. Should they beat the Astros? Probably not. But they were up 2-1. The Diamondbacks was a choke job. This was just embarrassing. From top to bottom, there's 2 players, maybe 3 that can get off without any blame last year. Zach Wheeler was awesome in that game. The bullpen blew. Harper had a great series, and Castellanos. Outside of that, I think everybody else had an OPS under like 700. I don't think JT got a hit in the entire series. So definitely a bad taste in the mouth. And when you look down the lineup, like this is still a top. I would probably say easily top 5 team in baseball, potentially top 3, but man, they're getting older.
Yeah. I feel like we kind of knew that though. This once they had that run in 22, I feel like it was like, all right, the window's like open now and like it's time to capitalize. You can play a little bit longer in baseball now than normal. Or than you have been in the past. So I'm not like too worried. I think guys seem to be pretty healthy. At least the guys that are locked up long term. So it's not too bad.
Yeah, I'm not worried for this year. I'm just worried that like this, they're trending in the wrong direction. Like we saw it at least in 2008, they won the World Series and then they started to, lose like a round earlier each time. This time they just didn't win the World Series and they lost a round earlier each time. I'm extremely pleased with the rotation. I think the Jesus Luzardo move, and we'll talk about each player in a little, will go down as one of the best bargains of the offseason. But yeah, the core, the offensive core is definitely up there a little bit. So what we're going to do for right now is we're kind of just going to go through the starting lineup and just kind of give a couple thoughts about each player and just keep it moving along here. I'll start off at the top with Trey Turner, who I think is going to lead off, and I really think that can kind of, bring some more life to him because like he's been fine. Like that's the best way I can put it. Like he's been a fine player since we signed him. Maybe not like the $300 million contract player that you were hoping for, but like he hasn't been bad enough outside the start of 2023 to like really, be upset. Because that second half of 2023, he was ridiculous after the standing O. But I think 2 things can happen here. I think that, he's still one of the fastest players in the league. And I think having him back in a role that he's been in the past can really just help him be like, hey, like, I don't have to try and be that power hitter. I can see some more pitches. I don't have to chase that curveball in the dirt because I'm trying to hit a 3-run homer. It seems like, having him up there is huge. And also, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think it'll be this year if at some point him and Stott switch because his shortstop defense hasn't been great since we got him.
Yeah, it's definitely not great. I think, when you pay as much money as you did for him, you're going to try and put him at shortstop until it's like, all right, we can't do it. I like the idea of the leadoff thing. I think for him, like, especially once we got to the playoffs, like just strikeouts and bad at bats were like really what he put up a lot of those, and that kind of screwed the Phillies in the long term. I think maybe putting him in a leadoff role where like he might have to focus on like grinding out more at bats, seeing more pitches, like stuff like that might help him in the long term. I still worry about the fact that he like chases a lot of bad pitches, like misses a lot. But I mean, Schwarber kind of did the same, maybe not chase to that same extent, but did have some swing and miss.
Yeah, because Schwarber's got his walks. Like,
yeah, he definitely did.
He got his strikeouts, but he got his walks too.
Yeah, that's like I don't know how much Trey has walked compared to like the league average. So maybe this will make him do more. I think like a change is good. Like I think shuffling these guys around is definitely the right idea because we've seen it now twice where like in the order that they were, it's just not working.
Yeah. Because listen, nobody loves a game leading off with a Schwarber homer like I do, but would it be nice if he came up with like the bases loaded in the first inning, or like 2 guys on and 1 out, and one of those early set the tone homers made it 3-0 as opposed to 1-0?
Yeah, that would be perfect. I mean, I like the leadoff home runs. Just kind of get up 1-0 early in the game. But yeah, like I think maybe we move him back to like a more traditional spot for like someone who hits the way he does.
Yeah, and I saw people that want Stott as the leadoff hitter. I'm admittedly not the biggest Stott guy in the world. The one main thing I'll give him, 2 main things, are his defense and he's clutch. But I just don't think he's a productive enough hitter to be your leadoff guy. I know he said he was battling some injuries. We'll talk about him in a sec. But as for Trey, he still hit, I think, 295 last year. He missed some time hurt, but I still believe in him. I still believe that he has the potential to be that $300 million guy, and maybe a change in the lineup could be good for him. All right, let's move on to our other $300 million guy, Bryce Harper. I wouldn't call it I don't think down year is the right word for him. But he hit around 285, 900 OPS. Definitely not quite as good as some of his other years there. I guess for him that might be considered a down year. But he played in 145 games, and honestly, my biggest takeaway from him last year is he made the transition to first base look easy.
Yeah. I mean, he's an incredible athlete. Like he's going to make it look easy. It's not, but someone who's just, again, like as athletic, as talented as he is, it's not going to be a problem.
No. And he's also said that he'd move back to the outfield if we were to sign a first baseman. Maybe Vladdy Jr.'s coming to town next year. I don't know. But for right now, what I can say is that it seems like, we've only ever really seen him hit third here. He's hit cleanup a little bit. But it seems like from some of the spring lineups that he might be batting second. And I wouldn't hate, if he comes, like if you lead the game off with Trey getting like a base hit and Harper puts one in the gap, like Schwarber isn't scoring on that, but Turner is.
Yeah, for sure. It'd be interesting to see him second. I know like some teams have done that. The Yankees do that with Judge. I'd still maybe prefer him like at the 3 or 4, but hey, I'm not a professional baseball coach, so I'm happy to see how it works out. I think again, he's someone who's good enough where like you can put him wherever and he's gonna do a lot of damage.
It seems like they're big on the lefty righty. So if they're gonna have Trey bat first, that it feels like that's why they might want him there. And then to our third guy here, Alec Boehm, who all-star started at third base last year, but still kind of felt like an overall disappointing ending. Like when you look at his season totals, 280 average, 780 OPS, 15 homers. Like I've been waiting for that year where the power gets unlocked because he's such a big guy. And I would argue nobody on the team except maybe Bryce has just a prettier home run swing. Like when he gets one, it's just like, I don't know what it is. I don't know why he can't just truly put together like a 30 home run type season.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on all that. But also at the same time, well, actually, no, like I don't really agree at this point because he's 28, 29. The power is not going to come. Like,
oh, I know. I'm saying I just don't know why. I'm saying I don't know why it never did.
It beats me. Yeah, I have no idea, but like I think we're at that point now where it's like this. He is who he is, and I don't think he's bad. Like you blindly show someone those numbers, but like that's your third baseman. Most teams in the league, like at least 20 to 25 teams in the league, are probably perfectly happy with that. And maybe not 25, but like at least 20 teams are perfectly happy with that.
So, I would agree, but would you say that 25 teams would be happy with that from their 3-hitter? Also 280, under 800 OPS, like for your 3-hitter on a contending team, that's what scares me.
Yeah, that's also true. And then but also at the same time, you have good hitters, just don't hit him third.
Yeah, it seems like that third spot, it could be Casty, it could be JT, it could kind of be whatever righty they feel best about.
You're paying so many guys in this lineup, God knows how much money. If you're not happy with him at the third, hitting third, hit someone else third.
Yeah. All right. Well, it just feels right to have Schwarber in the cleanup spot. Like if he's not going to, we got used to the leadoff homers. I liked him in the leadoff spot. I think it was time just for the whole lineup to change. But like he was what Abner Doubleday like visioned as the cleanup hitter when he invented baseball. Like that kind of guy. Like I don't know how many career grand slams Schwarber has. I would think that there will be a couple times this year where he comes up like in the first inning with the bases loaded and just lets it rip.
Yeah, I would absolutely love that. I think, that would be incredible. I think ideally, if everything works out, he would just be a great 4-hitter. Enough of these guys can set the table for him. You reach a point where you probably are uncomfortable throwing him something in the zone, but he's got a good enough eye where he's going to take stuff out of the zone. I think he's going to be a really good 4-hitter for them.
Yeah, I don't know where he ranked among the league, but he had 38 homers last year. And, I think he's a free agent at the end of this year. I would love to have him back, especially, now that we know Bryce can play the field, whether that be first or outfield. We know that DH spot could be Schwarber because, the power for him, like, I don't see it going away in the next 3-4 years. Like, the average in OPS might dip as guys get older, but like, I still think that, 3 years from now, he's going to be hitting at least 25 to 30 homers, which you'll take from your DH. And I just feel like, as much as I love Bryce, I don't feel like Bryce is as much of a vocal leader as Schwarber is. I feel like Bryce is more of that like lead by example kind of guy. I feel like letting Schwarber go would not be good for the clubhouse.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be good for the team either. He's been one of their best hitters. I would hope that they find a way to get him to come back. And he's always like you said, I agree with you where he's probably going to age fine. He's got that like farm strength more than like the gym strength. And I feel like, guys like that, they are able to play a little bit longer. Like when you just have that like natural strength, you're going to be fine.
It would be nice if he has kind of like a Nelson Cruz career arc where he's still hitting for power, like late into his 30s.
He could. He really could.
What is he? It looks like last year he was 30. So, yeah, he's 32. A lot of these guys are like going to be 32, 33 this year. All right, let's move on to a guy who had a really good playoff run, Nick Castellanos. Obviously, the run was, a quote-unquote run was 4 games, but he had that walk-off. And I think he's got one more year on his deal left after this. It seemed like the Phillies were pretty transparent in the fact that they were trying to move him, if possible, this offseason. Same with Bohm, if we're being honest. I think that he's a good player. I think
though they were like, I don't know. It was a weird thing.
Floating him out. He's available.
I feel like they weren't even floating. They were saying these guys were unavailable, and in every trade rumor they were in it. They didn't really. They were just not consistent with like what they were saying about guys in the offseason.
One thing I'll give to Dombrowski is he's done a really good job at not like letting rumors. Like when they do something, nobody really sees it coming.
Yeah, he actually has been. Most of this, which is weird, where like most of the stuff like it has not been. You have no idea, and then the stuff where everyone thought. I feel like maybe not everyone, but like a lot of people thought Bone would be gone after this year. He's back. I don't know, just keeping us on our toes, I guess.
Yeah. Overall for Casty, He ended the season last year hitting about 250, 740 OPS, 23 homers. The one, say whatever you want about Casty, he started every single game last year. A lot of guys, especially, that are in their 30s, want a couple days off. They want, to be able to kind of rest and whatnot. Like, he's out there every day. And I think that for him, he's one of those guys where unless he's like really, really, really struggling, he just wants to work through it and doesn't find that taking days off works. And, him in the outfield is funny because he might not always make it look pretty, but he's rock solid for every ball he can get to. That's the best way I can put it.
Yeah. Probably not the best range, but okay. He hit it in the circle that he can make the play, and he'll make the play.
I just remember that one in World Series Game 1 against the Astros. He had a game-saving sliding catch.
Yes, yeah.
We ended up winning. And I think he had one more against the Braves the next year that was a similar, oh my God, I can't believe he just caught that. It's those sliding, the sliding ones.
It's the same. I think it was against the Braves before they went to the World Series.
Was it? Was it this?
I think it was that Game 1.
Oh, the one that Olsen hit the late homer, and we were all like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
We're in trouble. Because Game 1 we watched together in your porch the year after.
Yeah, we did.
Right. That's right. All right, let's move on to the newest addition to the Phils here, Max Kepler, coming over from the Minnesota Twins. He was with the Twins since the 2015 season. He came into the league when he was 22 years old with the Twins. So this is his first time. He feels like a guy that could really be a big change of scenery guy. And nobody's expecting him to come in here and be a superstar. But he is someone that I think can really help them in terms of kind of cutting down the strikeouts a little bit and just being kind of a better pure hitter. He's off a couple of, down, I wouldn't say 2023 wasn't exactly a down season. He had an 816 OPS. I just think that if he was your big offseason splash in the lineup, he better have one of those seasons. He hit 24 home runs in 2023. And really, they just need an upgrade from what they've gotten in the outfield outside of Castellanos. And I think bringing him in really just, makes it more clear that either A, it's going to be a platoon in center between Marsh and Rojas with, the lefty righty, or B, that they're just going to let Marsh start against lefties early on, have Rojas as a defensive replacement and just see if Marsh can hit lefties, which I'll believe it when I see it that he can consistently do it, but I'm willing to give him that chance.
Yeah, it's I think it's worth giving him the shot. Even though Rojas we'll get to him later, but he's had a pretty good spring. I like the Kepler signing. It's a weird, I'm looking at his stuff and I feel like he has good year, bad year, good year, bad year. Just from the start, it was 235, 243, 224, 252, 228, 211, 220. Oh, so he had a tough stretch, and then 260, 253. So I guess he's on the up and up a little bit. But I liked it. I think, obviously you talk about the big splash. I guess he was the big splash, but they didn't really make one.
I guess it was Luzardo.
Yeah, Luzardo as well.
I wanted Kyle Tucker so bad.
I know,
but
dude.
I know that they 100% asked, and rightfully so, asked for either Aiden Miller, Andrew Painter, or both. The problem is our farm system is so top heavy that it just wasn't going to work out. But they can try to sign him, if the Cubs don't lock him up. Yeah,
that's honestly a good it's a good point if they don't do that, because I guess it looked like they weren't getting that done. But yeah, I have no problem not trading, especially if they value Miller and Painter as high as I feel like they've said they do. I have no problem not trading those guys. And the team itself is a very good baseball team already. And you added a guy who should be a good bat. Is it going to be enough to take them over the top? Only time will tell. But I did like the signing. I feel like it's just good depth in a spot where maybe you didn't have the most depth. So yeah.
Yeah, and we'll talk about, more it seems like a big offseason theme was bounce back guys. We'll talk, about Jesus Luzardo and Jordan Romano in a little bit here as well. But I don't know. It just feels like they're banking on him being better than Marsh or Rojas out there, which I would say that's a good bet at the very least.
Yeah, I think that's especially offensively Rojas. I think he's really like. I think they want Rojas to be able to hit eventually. They really do, and I understand why, because like everything else is so good, he just cannot hit right now. But I think that's great insurance if we start the year again and it's like Rojas can't hit again, because now you can go Marsh there and he'll do fine, and you put Kepler out there, and you kind of like get rid of that hole in your lineup that you had.
Yep. All right, let's move on to I don't know if I can still call him the best catcher in baseball overall. Maybe in terms of the arm, because like he still is absurd at catching runner stealing. Like that's something that regardless of how he's hit, especially in the playoffs and whatnot. I mean, he has just been automatic with throwing runners out, like getting it right on the money every time. And JT Realmuto, a little bit of a disappointing season offensively last year. Hit 266, 751 OPS, which again, not bad numbers for a catcher, but from what we've seen from him in years past, it's just like we know he's getting older. He's going to be 34 this season. I know he's probably got a couple good. Like, don't get me wrong, he's still, I would say, among all catchers in baseball, like all around players, probably somewhere in like the 5 to 8 range. I would say.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I still think. The problem is, he's a good player that we could really use him being a great player offensively. Mm-hmm. I think in the playoffs, what is it? I think he went 0 for 11 and how many 4 strikeouts. So it's just like you can't call someone the best catcher in baseball after that. A bounce back season from him would be nice. Rafael Marchand potentially being the backup and being a productive backup could maybe give him some days off, because we've really run him into the ground the last couple of years. And I think that Marchand, especially being a switch hitter too, could potentially could keep him fresh for the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. I love JT, but I don't think it's any secret. It's like I feel like it's pretty obvious that he's starting to decline a little bit. And at this point, yeah, like you need a guy who can give him a significant break, because he was catching, like he would catch so many games in a row, and then like when he finally just could, like probably his body could not do it. You put in Garrett Stubbs, but like Stubbs was so bad that you almost had to keep him in. So if Marchand can be very good, or not be very, but like if Marchand can at least be like average, I think that takes a lot of pressure off JT, and I think that will help him a lot. I think just having another guy back there you can put in and give him some time will be good.
Yeah, I mean, Stubbs is just an absolute zero at the plate. And Marchand, I definitely believe in more, to say the least. Marchand's also had some injury problems, so he might not be the one that they can count on, but I don't think Marchand has any options left. So I think that Marchand will probably start up, and we'll go from there. But I
think he's earned that opportunity with what he did last year. He's definitely earned the opportunity to do that. And Stubbs is great, vibes guy, locker room stuff. But at some point, you got to look at your 34-year-old catcher that you're running out for 20 games a year or so. Be like, we kind of need to prioritize that guy's health, and by that, like, we need a guy who can actually play.
Yeah, and I think the whole vibes thing has kind of gotten old, because the vibes have been bad the last 2 playoff runs. Like he was the one that started saying how we were going to jump in the pool in Arizona, and then we lost that series. And then last year, if you're the vibes guy, vibes weren't good. So obviously not his fault entirely, But like if your role is to be the vibes guy, the vibes better be good. All right, let's talk about one guy I was talking about a little earlier, Bryson Stott. He's came out and said that he was playing like through an injury last year. He got that taken care of in the offseason. Very underwhelming year, 245 average, 671 OPS for him. Elite second base defense. Will never knock him for that. He's a fantastic defensive player. Very, very clutch. He's been super clutch in his career. I'm a very optimistic person and optimistic Phillies fan, even when I shouldn't be. But I feel like, of Philadelphia athletes, I just put him in the one of the most overrated categories, just because I feel like it seems like a good guy, fan favorite. The kids like him. It seems like a good overall player to be on the Phillies, but his production has just not matched how people view him. Is the way I would put that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I hate to say it because I do really like him, and I think it's cool to see how much kind of universally he's liked. But yeah, a little bit of I don't know, just haven't seen it yet. And you see flashes of it, I think, of what he could be, just hasn't done it consistently. But I don't know. I'm still keeping hope out for him.
Yeah, listen, I'd love nothing more than to be wrong about this. I just think that you're a contact hitter, that you're supposed to be like that pure hitter, and you're hitting 245. If you're gonna not hit for power, that's fine, but that average has to be up 280, 285, 290. That's kind of the issues that I have with him. But I would love for him to I feel like in Philly, whenever an athlete almost stands up for themselves, it sounds like it's an excuse. He's just saying that because he played bad. I would love for him to have, actually been playing hurt last year and just trying to gut it out and come out this year and have more of a healthy season and see what he can do. I forget, it was either maybe shoulder or wrist, or it was something upper body that he said was affecting him last year. So I would love for him to bounce back. I think that, the power, I think he had 11 homers last year. I'm not really concerned about the power, but he just needs to have better at bats, just needs to hit some more singles and really just, if he's going to be batting as of right now, it looks like the lineup they put out 8th or 9th, just get on base and let Trey and Bryce do the rest. Yeah,
that would be ideal. I mean, and with an injury, especially if it's an upper body, I think you see a lot of people say now 80% of how hard you throw, how far you can hit the ball is coming from upper body power. If something's not right up there, it throws off, you're losing a lot of that 80%. So yeah, I could see how, maybe there's something he's trying to play through and it's just affecting us. Maybe he should have gotten work done during the year or whatever, but I could see how that affects it. And not that it sounds weird to be oh, I hope that was the case and he was hurt. But hopefully that was the case and he can kind of bounce back, because he started really well. And you could there was a drop off where people kind of had the theory of where the injury was. So yeah, we'll see. He's another guy. I think the theme of this team for me is we'll see. They could be good, but will they be great? We'll see.
We'll give our playoff picks at the end. Let's go. We'll just call this center field. I think whoever plays center will bat ninth, whether it be Brandon Marsh or Johan Rojas. I think that it's very cut and dry that if you want the better hitter, then let Marsh play. If you want the better, better defensive player and better speed, then you let Rojas play. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a terrible season by Marsh for any means. He hit 250, 750 OPS. Meanwhile, you look at Rojas, 240 with a 600 OPS. I think that it's a weird spot for a contending team where you say, if Marsh gets more, at bats against lefties, then he could develop. But you got to win games now. But with that being said, is Marsh against lefties really worse than Rojas against lefties?
That's a good question. I think that's the question they're still trying to figure out. And to Rojas's credit, he's had a good spring. I
think he homered the other day.
He's had a couple homers. He went oppo the other day, which I don't think I've ever seen him do. So
he's doing. He's hitting 308 in the spring. He's got 2 homers and 16 plate appearances. I'll take that.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Hopefully he can carry that on. Obviously, he came up maybe a little bit before he was ready to do so, at least offensively. And he's obviously struggled. But hopefully there's some growth there, and we'll see.
Yeah. He really just needs to not be terrible. He can be bad, but he can't be horrendous.
He could be an average hitter.
Yeah, like in the I think in the world was he was on the team when we lost the Astros, right?
Yes, yeah, he was.
I think he went like 4 for 40 in that playoff run. Like if you could just hit like 240, I think he was on
No,
that.
he wasn't. He was on the.
Oh no, he was on the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, because Veerling and Marsh were the center fielders.
Yes,
Yeah. That was part of the reason the Diamondbacks won. Because that's when everybody fell apart. But that year he was like 4 for 40 something, and it's like he's like
I
a little
one of those 4 hits.
Yeah. Which game was that?
Game 4. Yeah, he had a double. He had like a huge hit in Game 4 for them.
Against the Diamondbacks, or
yeah, against the Diamondback before Kimbrel blew it. He had
that's right.
We were down there.
We don't need to go back down that road.
That's
yeah.
Sad road to go.
We'll kind of talk about the bench in one piece here. Weston Wilson, I think he's a very, very good bench bat to have. I think that he kind of deserves more opportunities, especially if Marsh and Rojas are both struggling. You move Kepler to center and put Wilson in left. Edmundo Sosa. Again, if maybe Stott's struggling and they're facing a lefty, let him get some time. I know they were also letting Sosa get some reps in the outfield as well. It seems like this year they have they're a lot deeper, and maybe, they're not all incredible options, but they're different options, like a hot hand situation. We talked about Marchand a little bit. I like Cody Clemens as a bench bat as well. If Harper ever needs a day off, you can put him at first. I know Schwarber's taken some reps at first, but I think, if I had to rank this offense around the league, I'd probably say they're maybe somewhere in like the 8 to 10 range.
Yeah,
maybe a little higher.
I don't know the offenses, all the teams' offenses off the top of my head. I would give them more credit than that, I think.
Maybe close. I don't know if I'd call them top 5, because you look around, you see teams like the Dodgers out there.
Yeah,
teams,
Dodgers stacked.
The Mets, I might take the Mets lineup. I'd take our team, but the Mets lineup is pretty stacked too. Like now they got Soto.
Who would be like Yankees? O's would probably be up there.
I think the Rangers are gonna have a huge bounce back year. I think that lineup is crazy. I'd say maybe somewhere 5 to 10.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about what I think is honestly, I'm going to say a top 3 rotation in baseball, maybe 2. I unfortunately have the Dodgers still at 1, but I would say that us and the Yankees are probably 2 and 3 in whatever order. We might have the depth, but starting with Garrett Cole, Max Fried, and Rodon's a pretty good combo for them, and Luis Gil as well. But this rotation has the potential to be, I won't call them like, 2011, 4 aces, but the fact that they're getting 30 starts, hopefully, fingers crossed, injury-wise, out of Jesus Luzardo and maybe even Andrew Painter instead of Taijuan Walker is a massive upgrade. And the fact that, their top 4 guys are all back as well, there's really no weak spot, and there's 3 lefties.
No, yeah, and that was sort of an issue for them. There was a stretch last year where it was just your 5th starter was an automatic loss, no matter who it was, whether it was Taijuan. I think like Michael Mercado was out there for a bit. Tyler Phillips was there.
Yep.
It was just
after Turnbull got hurt, nobody could fill it in.
Yeah, it was abysmal. And to go out and replace that with Jesus Luzardo, who was one of the best pitchers on the Marlins. Was he a Marlin? No,
he started game 1 of a playoff series. I was there. It was game 1 against the Marlins, and it was Wheeler against Luzardo. It was a low-scoring game.
Yeah, he's a really good pitcher. And then everyone's begging for just get an average guy, like something that wasn't an auto L in the 5 spot, and you went out and got one of the above average to I would say good. Like he's a very good pitcher.
Yeah. It seems like the Marlins kind of panicked after he had a bad injury year last year. Like if you look at, the years before this, like in 2022, he had a 3.32 ERA. In 2023, he had a 3.5 ERA. Mm-hmm. Last year, he had a 5 ERA in only 66 innings. And it just felt like the Marlins were like, all right, he's 27 now. By the time that, the Marlins are good, he'll be probably like 30, 31, whatever. So they wanted to get some value. Like we gave up, a good haul. Like Starlin Caba is a good shortstop prospect. I think it was a good deal on both sides. But the fact now that he went from being the ace of a playoff team to now being like, I get to be the number 5 guy. I get to go in with no expectations, potentially even move to like that middle relief role. Like I think when people, and we'll talk about the bullpen after this, I think when people worry about the bullpen, and what it looks like right now, there's a very good chance that Luzardo, like some combo of Luzardo, Andrew Painter, and Ranger are in there when the playoffs come.
Yeah, there's a very real chance. I don't know.
I think Ranger's probably the most likely, but also like Painter, they're not going to want his innings to be like starter innings. So who knows? But like you'd think Wheeler, Sanchez, and Nola will be in the playoff rotation. Then after that, who knows?
Yeah, once they get to the seven game series, if they get there, I would imagine one of like Ranger or Luzardo would go, or Painter if he comes up and really well, would go to back to that starting role. But yeah, in like a divisional series, I could totally see that.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the. I won't say should have been Cy Young because Chris Sale was awesome last year, but Zach Wheeler was fantastic. 16-7 record, 2.57 ERA, a great playoff performance that was disgraced by Jeff Hoffman and the whole Phillies bullpen there. But I mean, Wheels had a whip under 1, so like on average he let up less than a walker hit per inning, which is crazy. He had a WAR of 6. He's not getting younger, but he also has a lot more mileage because of the injuries early in his career. Like it feels like he's kind of having that like Justin Verlander career arc, and I don't think he's going to have the longevity to be a Hall of Famer. But like if he does, maybe not this because this year was special, but like if he has like a couple more years of like ERAs around 3 or so, like and they win a World Series, he could sneak in the Hall of Fame. I don't think he'll have the longevity, but his peak would be dominant.
Yeah, he would probably be like a later. I feel like he would be if he were to get it. If all that were to happen, he were to get it, and be like a later.
Might need a Cy Young in the next couple years.
But yeah, Cy Young would help. But no matter what you say, even now, if his career were to end right now, God forbid it does, you could look at him and be like, the Philly. He was one of the best pitchers in the MLB for the Phillies for an extended period of time, like probably since he signed with us.
Yeah, I mean, I'd put his peak up against a lot of Hall of Famers, but
the same here. That's the longevity of the question, but absolutely, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, he's the guy that you put out there in game 1 of every series, and you feel like you're going to win. Obviously last year, if we just scored a couple runs and supported him more, then we would have had a different story. But he was unbelievable last year, and I expect that to stay the same. Now, the real question, Ben, I want to hear your opinion. Who is the Phillies' second best pitcher?
So, I
think there's real arguments.
Looking at our notes thing, I see Christopher Sanchez, and like,
I don't know. Like, I feel like Sanchez has the higher ceiling this year, but like you kind of know, like Nola's gonna make all of his starts, knock on wood, and he's going to have an ERA somewhere in between like 3.5 and 4. He's going to eat a lot of innings. But, man, when I see Sanchez throwing 98 in spring training, I think this guy also started game 2 of the playoffs last year. I know it's because his home and road splits. But, like, I would say that Sanchez has the upside to be the second best pitcher this year.
I agree. I think the upside with Sanchez is more than it is with Nola. But Nola's also just so reliable. I mean, he's been – he's been one of the most durable pitchers throughout the entirety of his career. I can't remember the last time he was hurt in any capacity.
Yeah. They had a very similar year last year. Their WARs were a couple decimals apart. ERAs were about 0.2 apart. The thing is that like Chris Sanchez in 181 innings let up 11 homers. In 199 innings, Nola let up 30. So he just has to get that under control. But the innings, home runs.
That's Nola's thing. Like he's gonna let up some home runs. That's what he is at this point. Yeah, if you can do it when guys aren't on base, it'll be fine. Like I think that second spot is something where, and Sanchez was great last year, but I think that's still something where it's Aaron Nola's until Sanchez takes it from him. Yeah,
like I think Wheeler will start opening day and Nola will probably start the second game. And then after that, you kind of reevaluate, unless they just want to, split up the righties and the lefties, because then it would be 2 righties in a row, then 3 lefties. So unless they want to mix that up, I don't know. But Yeah, let's talk about Nola because, Nola is someone that, he's certainly had his frustrations, but I think history will remember him kindly in a Phillies uniform, the durability. Like we definitely take that for granted. Like every time, when he lets up a homer, it's like, God damn it, Nola, but I think that once he's gone, we're going to miss how consistent he was overall and how we knew what we were getting. He's got short hair now. Don't know how that plays for the season, but, new vibes all around. Cassie has a buzz cut. So that's definitely interesting here. But yeah, no, I think, Nola finished 11th in Cy Young last year. Sanchez was 10th. But I want to talk about a guy who it could be, and I think, to be honest, I think will be his last year in Philly, and that's Ranger Suarez, who started last year ridiculous, kind of struggled in the second half, struggled in that playoff outing. Still, all things considered, had a 3.46 ERA. It's funny when you say that you want to be a Philly for life, but then hire Scott Boras. It's like, something tells me you're not looking for a friendly hometown deal.
No, that's Boris guys never do that. He's because I love Ranger, but yeah, he's going to be very good for them this year. I hope so. I think he will be. He's I feel like he goes out and gives you a pretty consistent effort every time. Little prone to getting hit around here and there, but for the most part, he's going to attack guys, pitches has a bunch of different pitches with a lot of movement, does his thing. And I feel like he kind of has that like dog in him kind of thing where like you put him out in the playoff game and he's going to give you a good start.
Yeah. I mean, even in that, playoff game against the Mets, like he did not allow an earned run. Like he had a battle. He got in a lot of trouble, but he didn't let up any runs.
That's what he does in the play. He throws a lot of pitches in the playoffs, and he's not going to be a guy who gives you probably 7 innings in a playoff game, but he's going to give you 4 or 5 scoreless. And if your bullpen's good enough, you can hand it over to him. I love Ranger. I expect more of the same from him this year, like another good year. And then I expect him to be gone either between like this year's trade deadline and the start of next year. I expect him to join another team.
Yeah, I don't think it's impossible he gets dealt at this deadline, especially if Painter comes out and looks good. But that's a conversation for another day here. We talked a little bit about our number 5 option, Jesus Luzardo, who I mean is probably on. I would say outside of like who's the Dodgers' 5th starter, like Tyler Glasnow, like Blake Snell. I mean, they
I actually don't know what it would be.
It might be Sasaki, Yamamoto.
What is there? So
it's Yamamoto.
So it's they have Glasnow, Yamamoto, Sasaki, Snell. Shohei.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, yeah, I don't know if he'll be ready for it opening day, but I think he's supposed to pitch this year.
I imagine they go a 6-man rotation.
And yeah, I think they brought Kershaw back. I don't think that he'll be a major factor.
Kershaw is probably your 6.
What about is Bobby Miller hurt?
Didn't Bobby Miller didn't he just get like hit in the head with a comeback or something like that?
I don't know. Is Dustin May still alive?
Dustin May is still alive, but I like
he's probably a bullpen pitcher.
I don't know.
I know Walker Buehler signed with the Red Sox.
Yeah, Jack Flaherty's gone, right?
He went back to the Tigers, I think.
Yeah. Let me look up their pitchers.
Yeah, it's just a
ridiculous. I mean, they have an embarrassment of riches.
And then they signed. Yeah, they got Tanner Scott. In the bullpen, they got Blake Trinan. That's.
Oh, they have Tony Gonsolin. I think he starts a decent amount for them.
Yeah, we'll talk about them a little more in the picks and preview here. But the Phillies bullpen as a whole, I mean, I think it's worse than last year, but also they collapsed in the playoffs, so maybe it's not bad. To get some new blood. Jeff Hoffman went to the Blue Jays. Carlos Estevez went to the Royals. They brought in Jordan Romano from the Blue Jays, who, again, like staying on this theme of the bounce back candidates, he had 2 incredible years before last year. He was a 2-time All-Star from 22-23. He had a 2.11 ERA in 2022. He had a 2.9 ERA in 2023. He only threw 13 innings last year with a 6.5 ERA. If they can he doesn't even have to be in the 2s. If they can get that reliever that's like a low to mid 3s, that's awesome.
Yeah, that would be incredible.
and they really didn't pay him much either.
No, not too much at all from what it looks like. And I'm gonna go. So first off, I'm looking at our notes. I like that at the 6, Taiwan Walker, 8, Taiwan Walker, yuck.
Oh, I didn't realize they put him in twice.
You got double Taiwan, which is
Who
just
did I forget?
I don't know, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back to I'm gonna say it again. It's again the theme with the team. Like we'll kind of see how it goes. Obviously, Hoffman was great. Estevez was there.
He was decent, yeah.
Yeah, he was all right. I don't think either of those guys were dudes you couldn't afford to lose.
Correct.
And I think they're going to bank on Kerkering, taking another step as a bullpen pitcher. It's weird. Like, I feel like you don't see a lot of bullpen arms like have that career growth at the MLB level that Kerkering's kind of having. Like, he came in so young.
He will be the Phillies closer someday.
Yeah. Like it's a weird thing of like you see guys like you see it with like starters more. So it's like, oh, this guy will eventually be the ace.
Yeah.
You don't really see that with relievers as much.
No.
So it's an interesting thing with him, but
I found out Jose Ruiz was the pitcher that I found.
There we are. Yeah. I'm looking at all their pitchers right now.
No, I think there's a lot of promising arms coming back. Orion had a 2.29 ERA last year. Matt Strahm was an all-star. He had a 1.87 ERA last year. Obviously we lost Hoffman, but Jose Ruiz, solid lefty with a 3.71. And then I'm thinking skinny Jose Alvarado makes a comeback this year.
Yeah, I would love it. I think I don't necessarily know that his weight was an issue besides him calling himself.
No, I just maybe new confidence.
But hey, man, like we know what he's capable of. It's just a matter of if he can lock in and do it. And I'm interested to see how these guys do. I honestly am hopeful. I'm a big my takes on bullpens are kind of weird. I think it sounds stupid and kind of hardo, but bullpens are made in the season, not the off season, in a way where you kind of have these guys and they're gonna you can have a great bullpen on paper and it be just absolute dog shit, as we've honestly seen a couple times with the Phillies.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have guys that are lights out of nowhere. And I think you just kind of have to pick guys who have stuff that fit with what your philosophy is, what you think works, and in a weird way kind of hope it works, match them up well and hope it works out. And I think that's kind of what they're doing. Sonny Romano is kind of in line with a lot of the guys they've gotten. So is Joe Ross a little bit. I think they're just kind of going back to that same well and seeing if they can buy low and have someone kind of grow with them.
All right, wrapping it up today. We got our bold predictions. We'll do one for the Phillies, one for the league, and then we'll drop our quick playoff brackets here. So for the Phillies, you want to go first, or you need some time to marinate?
Yeah, I'll go first. I don't know how bold it is because we kind of talked about it, but I expect – I mean, there's a favorite for this, but I expect one of the 5 starters, starting or pitchers in the starting rotation, to no longer be here by the end of the year. I think there's either maybe a trade that brings back a good player, maybe a mid-tier pitcher, or Andrew Painter comes up and does something. I don't expect to see I don't expect this 5 to be the 5 we end with.
All right, my serious one is I think someone on the Phillies will win the Cy Young this year. I think obviously Wheeler's a good bet. I think Sanchez has that upside. I think if Nola has that one of those types of years where he just gets on fire with the strikeouts, it's possible. But I'll say, which I believe would be the first since Halladay in 2011. Right? I think he won. I think he won back.
Wheeler got close twice, but
Wheeler was second last year.
He was second in 21 as well. He lost to Corbin Burns one year, I think.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. No, because Corbin was. He was on the Brewers first. I was thinking Orioles at that point. You're right. Yeah. I'll say for my league one, let's see. I don't know. I think I don't know if, and my roommate Dink, he's not here right now. I think he's going to kill me for this. I think the Orioles come in last place. I think their rotation is really bad, and I think that, and I think that they have a lot of, I won't say overrated, but I think they have a lot of very good hitters. But I think losing Corbin, like they lost Corbin Burns, and I think
I just read Grayson Rodriguez is starting the season on the IL as well.
Yeah, like I just think Dink is trying to talk himself into, like, they got like Eflin starting playoff games, and they got Charlie Morton, and I think that every other team in the AL East got better, and they didn't.
I agree. I agree. I don't know that they're going to be last. I think the Blue Jays will probably still be last.
Probably.
But like missed the playoffs. I kind of agree. Actually, my bold was I'm not, when we go through the division picks, this won't be what I pick, but I would not be surprised to see the Rays win the East.
Really? That's probably, that might be bolder than Orioles in last place.
I would not be surprised. I again, like when we do the division picks, I'm picking the Yankees. I think they're the best team. I would not, if the Rays won the East, I would not be surprised. They have a really good young team. I like Shane McClanahan's back. Their pitching's always pretty good. Ha-Seong Kim in at shortstop over Taylor Walls is like an unbelievable upgrade. You have Junior Caminero there. Brandon Lau and Yandy Diaz are back. Their outfield, I think, is still pretty good. There's a lot to like about that team. And it could go bad because there's definitely some question marks on how they perform. But if they put it together, that's going to be a really good baseball team.
I think it's fair. And I guess that leads us right into our division picks. I'll pick the Yankees as well. We'll start in the AL. I think that losing Soto was brutal. I think their lineup isn't great. I think they have a really good rotation. Garrett Cole and Max Fried's about as good as you can get for 1-2. Mm-hmm. But, the fact that they tried to replace Soto with Goldschmidt and Cody Bellinger in that stadium might have a little juice left. I feel like the AL East has a lot of teams that'll be in that like mid to upper 80 to low 90s range, but I still think for that rotation, I know Luis Gil is starting on the IL. I don't think it's like a major injury, but they got Devin Williams. I still think their bullpen's good. I don't think that the Red Sox, like adding Bregman is awesome, but they lost Pivetta, who actually turned into a decent starting pitcher in the league. The Padres gave him a big deal. But yeah, I'll go with the Yankees there. And the AL Central, I'm going to go with the Tigers. I think that they got Jack Flaherty back. They got him back. They got him back. They got Gleyber Torres. I think that young core got that experience last year. I wouldn't really say the Guardians got better. They traded Josh Naylor to the Diamondbacks. So like I feel like that division's always wide open. My buddy Chris from Strathaven, he's one of our catchers. His cousin is Dylan Dingler, the Tigers' backup catcher, who could potentially take over that starting job from Jake Rogers this year. It seems like that's kind of what they want. He's down in Lakeland watching them right now. And are we ready for a secret weapon Kevin McGonigal to come up in September?
That would be elite, man.
He would have to have a ridiculous run. He's probably like a 2027, maybe late 2026 guy. But yeah, I just feel like that team got a lot of experience last year. How about Matt Vierling finding a great new home as well? Tarek Skubal is probably the best pitcher in the league. At least he was last year. Yeah. Their bullpen, they know AJ Hinch is a great manager. They know how to match guys up. So I'll take the Tigers. What about
you? I have the AL Central is a weird one where I've had a hard time picking between a lot of these teams. I'm gonna stick with the Guardians. Yeah.
ALCS team last year.
I'm gonna stick with the Guardians, yeah. I think their pitching's still very good. They kind of retained everything on that side. And they've been able to make it work lineup wise. I don't think losing Josh Naylor is like, oh my God, the world's ending. You have Jose Ramirez in the middle of your lineup. You're gonna be able to put some runs up. So I feel pretty good about them. The Royals, I'll be interested to see how good they do again. I don't know if they're going to have the same year they did. You could probably flip a coin between the Tigers or the Guardians this year for who wins that division.
Underwhelming offseason from the Royals. I really wish they kind of put more pieces there after a nice playoff. Who did they beat? They beat the Orioles. Yeah. All right, let's go AL West here. I'm going to go with the Rangers. I think that people kind of forgot because last year the injury bug bit them, and they just kind of had that first World Series hangover. But that is a very, very good lineup. That now, how much Jacob deGrom will be healthy, you never know. Probably not for the full season, but I'm banking on one long season from him. I think I'm hoping that either Jack Leiter, Kumar Rocker, or both can turn into a great pitcher. If one of them becomes a good starter to go along with Eovaldi and deGrom, I think this lineup is ready to hit again. Seager, Semien, Adolis Garcia. I think Evan Carter bounces back from a little sophomore slump. Chase Young, they just traded for Jake Berger, Jonah Heim. I think that they have the pieces in place. I might have even missed people, but that core right there. And Wyatt Langford, that was who I was missing there.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
I think if he kind of breaks out, I think that this lineup has a really high ceiling. And, I think the Astros, they just lost Kyle Tucker and Alex Bregman. I trust that their pitching staff will get them into the playoffs as a wild card, but I think the era of the Astros as we know it is over.
Yeah, I mean, they did pick up they picked up Christian Walker. I think he'll hit well there.
Yeah.
And Isaac Paredes also is.
Actually, I think I missed that.
Yeah, he was part of the Tucker trade. He went from the Cubs to the Astros. He's gonna kill in that home stadium.
That left corner, yeah.
So yeah,
I still think they're a playoff team. I think the Rangers can win the division.
I have a hard time picking against the Astros. I also say here is just pops in my head. Is this the year for the Mariners?
They needed to add a hitter. They have a great rotation. And did you hear what Justin Turner said?
No.
Justin Turner was the Mariners wanted him back, and they were talking about the plans, and there wasn't really much else. He's like, listen, if I'm your top off-season acquisition, I don't want to be here. You have players that publicly call out the ownership, and he's one of them. And I think the Cubs are a better spot for him, but they're probably gonna be the same team as last year. They're gonna win a lot of low-scoring games. They're gonna lose a lot of low-scoring games. They're basically the Strathaven baseball of of the major leagues in terms of how they're built. Obviously, Haven's had more success in that regard.
Haven doesn't lose many close games, though. That's the
issue.
No, that's the Mariners lose a lot.
Playing the low-scoring games, yeah. But all right, we'll go for my wild card team.
I guess I haven't really made my pick yet.
I'm sorry. I thought you said the Astros.
Nah. I might go with the Mariners. Or not the Rangers. I might go with the Rangers with you here.
Wild card, I got Guardians, Red Sox, and Astros in there. Not in that order. Those are just my three teams.
My wild card, I will go Rays, Red Sox, and Astros.
Valid. All right, National League. I hate to say it. I'm picking the Braves because I'll believe that the Phillies can beat a healthy Braves team for the division when I see it. Because, the reality is last year they had no Strider and they had no Acuna. That's a top 3 pitcher in the sport and a top 3 hitter in the sport.
Yeah.
So, this was their division for the last, 7 years or so. They lost Max Fried, but I believe in their ability to develop pitchers. I believe in guys like Schwellenbach and AJ Smith-Shawver. They still have I know Strider coming off the second Tommy John's a little scary, but the core still there. Albies, Austin Riley, Olsen, Acuna. They got who else did they add? They just added Jurickson Profar, who had a great year in San Diego last year. Yeah. I think the Phillies will be the 4 seed. I'll believe it when I see it that they can beat the healthy Braves team in the regular season. They can beat them in the playoffs. Yeah. We know that. But can they be the better team over 162? I don't know. I would love for them to do it, but I think the NL East sends 3 teams to the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. I see 3 teams from the NL East going to the playoffs. I honestly think the Phillies will win the East. I feel good about that. With you mentioned Strider and Acuna, and Strider's coming off his second major elbow surgery. Acuna's coming off of tearing his ACL for the second time.
Was it the same one?
I actually don't know for sure. But
actually, that might be worse if he tore a different one.
Yeah, he's coming off of 2 ACL tears.
Let's see. I'm curious. So on DraftKings, The Braves are the favorites at plus 135. Then the Phillies are
That feels
200 and the Mets are 220. So they're all very close.
Yeah, that I think that's in line with what everyone expects. I think the Phillies will do it. I like their rotation. I think it's way better than the Braves. I think there's less for them to figure out than the Braves and Mets have right now. Like obviously, we've said that we'll see with the Phillies with all this stuff. There's a lot of for the Braves. There's a lot of moving parts of like, is Strider going to be perfectly healthy? Is Acuna going to be perfectly healthy? If not, what do we do? The Mets, I don't know what their pitching rotation is going to be yet.
I don't think they do either.
Yeah, so there's both of those teams have some things to iron out early in the year that I think will maybe come back to bite them later on. We'll see, but my pick's the Phillies.
Yeah. All right, NL Central. I'm going with the Reds. I actually really like what the Reds did this offseason. I think they have a really good rotation. I think the Brewers got worse. They traded Willy Adames to the Giants. They traded what's his face, Devin Williams to the Yankees. I really don't like this offense. I think the Reds went out and have built a really nice pitching staff. They got Hunter Green. They got Brady Singer from the Royals. They got Rhett Lauder coming up. They got Nick Lodolo. I think this team's good. I think Matt McClain missed all of last season. I think Ellie De La Cruz is continuing to turn into that superstardom that we saw when he debuted. The stolen bases are ridiculous. I think that this is a team that in an NL Central where, quite frankly, it kind of looks like they're outside of the Cubs, really the only ones trying right now.
Yeah.
I think the Cubs are going to be a good team with Kyle Tucker, but I think the NL Central is a one-team league, and I don't see why it can't be the Reds.
Yeah, I think the Reds are like a year or two away. They're a very good team. I think they're going to be good at some point. I think this year my bet's the Cubs. I think picking up Kyle Tucker is a really good move for them. And just overall, they seem to have the best team. The Brewers, you've seen it with so many teams in small markets where they have these really good cores and they just kind of subtract and hope it works out for them. And it does until it doesn't. I think for the Brewers, this is the year it doesn't. So my pick will be the Cubs.
Yeah, Brandon Woodruff coming back helps. They somehow find a way to stay into it, but I don't think this is their year. All right, can we just skip the talk and say Dodgers for the NL West to save our breath? Do you guys know how good they are? We know how good they are. We don't need to waste our time there. Potential, let's be honest, they have the potential to be the most talented baseball team of all time. Whether they live up to that, who knows? But it's basically an all-star team. But for the wild card, so we foreshadowed it. Phillies and Mets are my pick. I'm going with the Diamondbacks for the third spot. I really like what they've done. I think that adding Josh Naylor gives them a little more pop. I think adding Corbin Burns to a rotation that already had Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, Brandon Pfaadt. I think Jordan Montgomery and Eduardo Rodriguez have kind of struggled a little bit, but if one of them can just be like a fine number 5, then they have a good rotation. Their bullpen locked us down 2 years ago. So I think that they could be that pesky 6th seed that can give the Dodgers fits if they make it.
Yeah, for sure. I had said that the East is we'll have 3 teams in the playoffs. I might actually go back on that. I think I'm going to go Braves, and then honestly, might go Padres, Diamondbacks,
Yeah,
Padres.
I feel like there's 7 clear, maybe 8 if you like whatever you consider the AL Central, but I think that last playoff.
The AL Central is like kind of its own thing. Like there's 6 teams for 5 spots, and then 2 teams for 1 spot.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. All right, so for my playoff picks, I kind of mapped it out here a little bit. First round, I think the Phillies get their revenge over the Mets. I really like the Phillies in a 3-game series compared to a 5-game series. If they can just hit, they can get that game 1 win with Wheeler against whoever the Mets put out there. And then I trust that one of their guys, especially if both games in my scenario or all of them are in Philadelphia, I like their odds there. I also got the Diamondbacks over the Reds in that NL Central. I think that, like you said, I think they might be a year or 2 away from contending. They can still make the playoffs, but I think the Diamondbacks are better, so they'll win that series there. What do you got in the NL?
I haven't mapped it out like you have. But let's see. I guess it would be like Cubs Padres. I'm gonna go. Cubs are gonna be hosting that playoff baseball back to Wrigley Field. I feel good about the Cubs in that. And then I will go between Braves and Diamondbacks.
That would be a good series.
Yeah, that'd be a really good series. I'm just gonna go Diamondbacks because like the Braves can kick rocks.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go with that.
Yeah. All right. Well, my second one. Actually, we'll go to the AL here. I got the Astros getting their revenge on the Tigers. In things swapped around last year, the Astros were the 3 and the Tigers were the 6. I'm going to say the Tigers are the 3, Astros are the 6. Astros get their revenge, and I also have the Red Sox over the Guardians in that other one.
Okay. All right. Again, we're gonna have to do the math on this again. But let's see. So I had the Rays, Red Sox, and Astros as my wild card teams. I will say that the Guardians are the 3 seed. So I will go Astros, Guardians, Rays, Red Sox, I guess would be how that works. No, it'd probably be Red Sox, Guardians, and Astros, Rays. So I will go. Like the Red Sox beat the Guardians. Actually, no. Guardians beat the Red Sox, and I'll have the Rays beat the Astros.
Love it. Also, one thing I forgot to mention with the Reds is Terry Francona is now their manager,
Really?
And I think that can really help a young, inexperienced team make that leap. Totally forgot to mention that, but that was part of my thought process with them right there. All right, NLDS. I hate to say it, I will pick the Dodgers over the Phillies. I think that if my homerism can take a back seat here, but in that 1-4 matchup, I don't see them going into LA and winning those that series especially with a game 5 on the road. So I will take the Dodgers there. And I'll also we talked about a little. I'm taking for this round. It's the Diamondbacks and the Braves. So I'll take the Diamondbacks to set up a frisky NL West heated series in the NLCS there. And what do you got?
All right. So do they reseed or is it how does
They
that
do not.
work?
It's a bracket.
Okay. What does the winner of the 3 versus 6? So they play the 2.
They played it 2. Yeah.
All right. So I would have Cubs, Phillies, and then I would have
Dodgers,
Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
I like the Phillies against the Cubs and the Dodgers against the Diamondbacks.
All right, American League, I got the Yankees over the Astros, and I got the Rangers over the Red Sox.
Okay. I would have the Guardians and the Rangers and the Yankees and the Rays.
That'd be a weird series, Guardians, Rangers.
Yeah,
Have they ever played in the playoffs before?
I might have to give the Red Sox the win just because I don't like the sound of that matchup.
Yeah.
Just go retroactively. I don't think Dodgers allow the Guardians and Rangers to play. So Rangers,
I gave you.
I don't like it at all. So Rangers, Red Sox. I'm gonna go. Yeah, we're gonna go back. Rangers, Red Sox. I actually think the Red Sox win that, and then I'll have the Yankees beat the Rays. Set up Red Sox, Yankees in the ALCS.
All right, NLCS. I think the Diamondbacks will give the Diamondbacks will give the Dodgers everything they can, but I am going to pick the Dodgers in this series. I know it's boring, but it is what it is. So I'm going to go with the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks in let's say 6.
I like that.
So you got Phillies and Dodgers?
Yeah, I got my ALCS is way better than yours. Just in terms of the matchups, Phillies, Dodgers, Yankees, Red Sox.
Yeah. Oh, in terms of absolutely.
Yeah, just beautiful TV.
It is.
I'm probably gonna be wrong, like really wrong, but beautiful TV.
I would love.
I have the Dodgers. I would have the Dodgers over the Phillies. I hate to say it, but
all right, ALCS. I'm going Rangers over Yankees. I'm a big believer in this Rangers bounce back season. I think that 2 years ago they were an unstoppable playoff force, and I think that hangover hit them. But I think this young core is still really good. I think a lot of people had questions about what the Rangers pitching staff was 2 years ago. Their bullpen was awful all year and locked in the playoffs. So I think some guys, can just turn it on when it matters. So I'm taking the World Series will be the battle of Corey Seager, Dodgers Rangers.
I like that. I'm going to go with the upset. I'll go Red Sox over Yankees. Set up Dodgers Red Sox in the World Series.
So are we just going to both pick the Dodgers?
Yep.
Yeah, so, yeah, obviously.
Yep, here we are.
Listen, it's like picking, the clear one, like UConn in March Madness last year. Like sometimes you just want to see one fall. Have it be right. Yeah, like I don't think I have the hatred towards the Dodgers that a lot of people do because they're not hateable yet. I think this is the year where they could be hateable because last year, like they were, the majority of their starting pitchers were hurt. Like they were not the juggernaut that they're going to be this year.
Yeah.
So I think this is the year where they kind of have like the Chiefs heel turn where it's like, oh, like we hate you because you're really good now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are you saying with the Rangers?
I'm talking about the Dodgers.
Sorry,
like,
I blanked out for a second.
No, saying, I think this is the year where people can like turn on them and like,
Well, see, all right, you threw me off with the heel. Like I missed the name of the team you're talking about. You threw me off with the heel turn because I thought everyone already hates the Dodgers.
I'm saying I don't think people hate them as much, because this is the year.
As much
like
as,
this was the off season where like they signed Snell, they signed Roki, they signed like all these guys that went there that just like didn't need to go there, like Tanner Scott, like all these guys that just didn't need to go there that just feel like they're ring chasing. Teoscar went back.
Yeah, it's the only thing keeping me back from the Dodgers is this sense of like, and it's kind of my same thing with not picking the Mets. This is where they always blow it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when they're at their best is when they choke their
That's
heart.
true. When they had like in 2020, they won because there was no fans there. So they didn't feel the pressure. Last year, they were missing a lot of their pitchers. But unfortunately, Dodgers the favorite. But you know what? Baseball is better when there's a villain. Those early, like the early 2000s. I mean, really, the Yankees for like 100 years.
Long,
but the evil empire, and that's what the Dodgers are
I
now.
think we're about to see something like that. I think that window is now opened on like.
Yeah, when the 84 win Diamondbacks beat the Dodgers in the NLDS.
Pure cinema.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, that was a great episode. Great preview here. We're going to put something out, but if anybody comes out to Dick's House of Sport in Wilmington on next Thursday, the 13th at about probably say like 5:30, 6 o'clock, we'll have a finalized time there, get some shopping for the season and come watch the boys. But as always, on behalf of Ben Thorpe, myself, and all of Delco Baseball Now, we appreciate you tuning in and high school season gets started. There was a scrimmage today, actually. I'm going to see if the Haverford School and Germantown Friends, or it might have been Westtown, if they actually posted on Game Changer the score of that. Let's see. I don't even know if they keep track of it was a 12-8 win for Haverford School over Westtown. We had a homer from Thomas Lawler, and whoever Buscalia is had a homer and drove in 7 runs. So that's pretty cool. It's too bad that's a scrimmage.
We'll take it. Start to the year.
Yeah. All right. Well, everybody, thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you next week.